Hey, Chris from My Core Balance. This is the Ask Trainer Chris podcast. Had a great question. Basically, it's about breathing. How do you breathe while you're exercising? And this is it's a really good concern because obviously we need to breathe. And, it's very important to keep the breath going. You hold your breath, you're in trouble, right? And I like to say, you can go 3 weeks without food. You can go about 3 days without water. You can only go about 3 minutes without oxygen. So vital, right? And we know that we need to breathe. So generally, the kind of simple answer is just match your breath with your activity. So if you're lying on your back, obviously you can take very deep breaths. You can be a little bit more relaxed. As you stand up, your heart rate's going to go up a little bit, not much. And that's actually one of the tests, right? To see how strong your heart is, and also whether or not you're overtraining, is that you lie on your back and then you stand up and you see what the change in heart rate is. Like if your heart rate jumps through the roof when you stand up, that's not a good thing, right? So, but again, this is not about heart rate, this is about breathing. So generally you want to match your breathing with your activity level. If you're doing really strenuous workouts, say you're lifting weights, especially if you're doing a full body, kind of a compound exercise like a squat, and you're using maybe at the upper limit of your weight that you can handle, you want to really coordinate that. So maybe on the knee bend, this is what I really like to do, is take your big inhale when your knees are bent, kind of lock it down just for a brief second. So I guess it is kind of holding your breath, but not while you're exerting. As you start to move, you start to exhale. Be really sure that exhale lasts as long as your movement. If you let out all your air, but you're still moving, then you put yourself in the awkward position of either running out of air or being forced to take another deep breath in, kind of in the middle of your movement, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you just want to kind of time it, kind of coordinate it with your movement. If you're, if you're lifting, if you're running, cycling, elliptical, anything like that, any kind of cardio, generally I like to stay with a 1-1 cadence. So meaning the amount of time you're exhaling is the same as your inhale. Now you can play around with this if you get a little more sophisticated, but generally it's just easier to stick with a 1-1. So it might be like 4 strides inhale, 4 strides exhale. It might be 3 and 3, whatever it is. Now the one exception for cardio, and where it gets a little weird and where it's kind of why I struggle with it, but swimming with your head underwater specifically. So if you're swimming with your head underwater freestyle and you're doing, say, 3 or 4 strokes, and then you have to turn your head to do your super quick inhale, obviously your cadence is going to be a little bit different, right? You're going to have a long exhale, and then you turn your head and suck the air in real quick, and then you have a long exhale. So of course with that, you have a shorter duration on the inhale, longer duration on the exhale. So on that short duration, you have to pull in as much air as you possibly can. On the exhale, you're letting it out slowly. And that's, again, just to make sure that the volume of air on your inhale and the volume of air on your exhale are the same or as close as humanly possible. So hope that helps. Again, like a lot of my answers, it depends. So what's the proper breathing technique? It depends on what you're doing. It depends on how fit you are. 2 people can go running, and the really fit person will not have to breathe as much because they're getting more oxygen in per breath. Their body's more efficient. You go running and you're not in shape, you're going to be right, because you're not very efficient. You need to do more breaths because the volume of air that gets into your body on each breath is diminished. Whereas if you're fit, that can sometimes do it. So keep asking your questions. I love these questions. Chris at mycorebalance.com, or you can text me 408-883-4442. Or if you're on the Anchor app, you can leave a voice question on my channel. Ask Trainer Chris is the podcast. All right. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.